Let's get into it because Rashida Frost just dropped a bomb that has every love and hip-hop fan clutching their pearls right now. According to her, what we've been seeing on TV, the fights, the tears, the perfect wife image, and even the moments that made us side-eye Kirk, might not be the full truth. And when I tell you she's fed up, baby, she is done staying quiet. It all started when Rashida went live late one night, hair wrapped, no glam squad in sight, just pure raw emotion. She looked straight into the camera and said, "They played me on TV." That one line sent the internet into a frenzy. Fans flooded the comments like, "Wait, what do you mean played you? Are you saying the whole storyline was fake?" Within minutes, blogs were reposting clips, and hashtag they played RASHEEDA started trending on Twitter. Now, if you've been watching Love and Hip Hop from the jump, you already know Rashida's been through it. The cheating scandals, the baby mama drama, the endless gossip around Kirk Frost's other life. But what if I told you that behind the cameras, things weren't what they seemed? What if the tears we saw weren't just real pain, but edited pain, chopped up, twisted, and remixed for ratings? According to Rashida, production manipulated entire storylines. She hinted that arguments were edited to make her look like the villain, confessions were cut to protect other cast members, and certain explosive scenes were completely fabricated. She didn't name names, not yet, but she said enough to get everybody's attention. At one point in the live, her voice cracked as she said, "Y'all think I just stayed quiet all those years because I didn't care? Nah, I stayed quiet because they owned the footage. They owned my story." And that's when the energy shifted. Fans started realizing that maybe, just maybe, Rashida's silence over the years wasn't weakness, it was strategy. And get this, moments after her live ended, Kirk was spotted leaving Frost Bistro with a face that screamed damage control. Paparazzi yelled questions like, "Is it true? Did they fake your storyline?" But he stayed silent. You could feel the tension. Sources close to the couple claim he's furious that Rashida went public, saying she's risking everything: the contracts, the deals, the Frost brand. Meanwhile, production insiders are allegedly scrambling to shut down the rumors. Some even claim Rashida violated a non-disclosure agreement by speaking out. But at this point, she doesn't seem to care. She's on a mission to reclaim her image, and according to her, it's about time the truth came out. So now the question on everyone's lips is simple: what really happened behind the scenes? What did producers cut, change, or flat out fake to keep viewers hooked? And how deep does this editing drama really go? Because if Rashida's telling the truth, then Love and Hip Hop might never look the same again. Stay tuned, we're breaking down everything that Rashida said, what Kirk's reaction was, how the network is allegedly responding, and why this could be the biggest behind-the-scenes scandal in Love and Hip Hop history. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're gonna be asking yourself the same question everybody else is asking right now: did they really play Rashida on TV, or is this her biggest power move yet? According to people close to her, this whole "they played me on TV" confession didn't just come out of nowhere. It's been building up for years. Rashida's been holding it in, smiling for the cameras, keeping up appearances, pretending everything was okay, when in reality, she was battling behind the scenes to protect her image, her marriage, and her business. It all started during the filming of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta Season 9. That's when Rashida says she started noticing little things that didn't sit right. At first, it was minor. Conversations were cut short, scenes were edited in weird ways, and arguments looked more explosive on screen than they actually were in real life. But as the season went on, things got darker. She said during her live, "Y'all don't even understand. They would make me refilm certain scenes, then change the context. Like, I'd be talking about my business or something positive, and they'd chop it up like I was talking about Kirk's drama again." It was all about what made good TV, not the truth. And that's the part that hit fans hardest. For years, people thought Rashida was just sitting there, letting Kirk walk all over her, staying quiet, staying loyal, even when she shouldn't have. But what if that quiet Rashida was a production narrative, not reality? A close friend of Rashida's, who wanted to stay anonymous, told us, she tried to tell them no. She told producers, "I'm not doing this storyline again." We moved past it, but they threatened to cut her camera time. And you know what that means: less screen time, less exposure, less business. And the wildest part, apparently, some of the scenes fans thought were raw and real were actually staged. Sources say that big argument between Rashida and Kirk in their restaurant, the one where she threw the napkin and stormed out, wasn't even supposed to happen. She was told to bring up old issues to make it look like she was still struggling to trust him. But here's where it gets really messy. Rashida claims the network used her pain as a storyline. Every time she tried to move on and focus on her music, her businesses, or her family, production would find a way to drag her back into the drama. In one emotional clip, she said, "They made me look like I was obsessed with Kirk's mistakes. Like that's all I was, the wife who stayed after the cheating. But that's not who I am. They didn't show the boss moves, the wins, the growth, just the pain." And that's when the floodgates opened. Fans started rewatching old episodes, pointing out all the fake-looking moments, the awkward cuts, the suspicious timing, the way scenes would switch moods in seconds. People started tweeting things like, "Now that Rashida said it, everything makes sense." And you can literally see where they edited her reactions. Meanwhile, insiders say Kirk has been furious ever since Rashida went public. He allegedly told a mutual friend, "She knows how this industry works. You sign the papers, you agree to the edits. Now she wanna act brand new." But here's the thing, Rashida doesn't care. She's on her redemption arc now. She wants the world to know that the Rashida we saw on TV isn't the full Rashida. She's reclaiming her narrative, and if that means going up against a whole production empire, so be it. In the days following her live, she's been dropping cryptic posts on Instagram, quotes about truth, freedom, and control of your story. Fans think she's hinting that she's preparing to expose everything. Contracts, producers, even specific cast members who played along for the cameras. And here's the kicker. One insider hinted that Rashida kept receipts, text messages, call logs, emails from producers, all showing how scenes were planned and manipulated. If that's true, this might not just be gossip anymore. This could turn into a full-on reality TV scandal. But you know how this goes. Once the truth starts coming out, everybody scrambles. And from what we're hearing, some of Rashida's co-stars aren't happy about her speaking up. One allegedly told producers, "If she's talking, she's dragging all of us down with her." So now, fans are wondering, will the truth set Rashida free, or will it make her the next target of a reality TV takedown? Because when you go against the machine, especially one that built your brand, there's always a price to pay. And trust me, things are about to get a whole lot messier. Because what Rashida revealed next about how producers cut and twisted her scenes shocked even her closest friends. You ready for that part? Because that's where the real drama starts. So let's pick up right where we left off. Because after that bombshell, Rashida didn't stop. Nope, she went even deeper. During a second Instagram live a few days later, she came in calm, almost too calm, sipping on her Frost Bistro cup like she knew she was about to shake the whole table. She started by saying, "I ain't doing this for attention. I'm doing this because y'all deserve to know the truth about what y'all been watching for years." And then she dropped the receipts. Now, she didn't show full messages. You know Rashida's too smart for that, but she read them out loud. Texts from producers telling her to add a little more emotion or say that line again with more anger. One message allegedly said, "We need more tension between you and Kirk for this week's episode." Fans went wild. The comments were flooded with "Girl, they really scripted your pain." And no wonder some scenes didn't feel real. Even celebrities started chiming in, reality stars from Basketball Wives, The Real Housewives, and Growing Up Hip Hop started liking Rashida's post. Some even dropping subtle comments like, "Say it louder for the people in the back." But here's where it gets juicy, because apparently, this editing drama isn't new. Rashida claims she tried to talk to the network about it years ago, but they brushed her off. They told her that editing is part of storytelling, and that everyone gets the same treatment. Except she didn't buy that. She said, "Why is it that when I'm talking about my business or my family, they cut it down to 10 seconds? But when I'm crying over Kirk, that's a whole 5-minute segment." They wanted the pain, not the progress. And honestly, that hit deep. Because fans started realizing something. Maybe Love and Hip Hop wasn't just showing Rashida's reality, maybe it was shaping it. People started digging up old interviews from her castmates, and guess what? They backed her up. One former producer even came forward anonymously, of course, and said, "There were times we had to reshoot scenes just to make the story more dramatic. Sometimes the real story wasn't interesting enough, so we'd build one. That's the phrase that broke the internet, because if they were building Rashida's storyline, then that means the cheating scandals, the arguments, the breakdowns, they might have been edited into existence. Now, Kirk's name was coming up a lot during all this. Fans were begging for him to respond, but he stayed silent until one shady Instagram story popped up. A black screen, white text, saying, "Y'all believe what you want. Just remember who been solid since day one." And that sent fans spiraling. Some took it as him standing by Rashida. Others said he was trying to save himself. But Rashida didn't even flinch. She went on another live, saying, "That man know what it is. We been through enough. I'm not protecting nobody no more." Boom. That line right there. That's when people knew she wasn't just venting, she was done playing nice. After that, she started talking about specific episodes. She called out one from season 6. The infamous cabin trip, remember that one? When Kirk pulled up, tensions exploded, and Rashida stormed off crying. She revealed that she did cry, but not for the reason they showed. They edited the whole scene. What y'all saw wasn't even the real reason I was upset. I was crying because I found out something about production, not Kirk. But they flipped it. Fans went back and watched that episode, frame by frame. People were posting comparison clips, saying you could literally tell where the cut happened. TikTokers started making side-by-side edits with captions like, "Rashida was crying about them, not him." Even Carly Red jumped into the conversation, dropping a cryptic comment under one post. "She ain't lying. We all got played one way or another." And that set off another wave of chaos. Because if Carly's admitting that too, then how much of love in hip-hop is even real anymore? But the most emotional part came when Rashida talked about how it affected her family. Her voice cracked as she said, "My kids had to watch their mama look weak on national TV. They had people at school saying, 'Your daddy cheated on your mama again.' Do you know how that feels? To have your children embarrassed over something that wasn't even the full truth." You could hear the heartbreak in her voice. That's when fans really started siding with her, even the ones who used to call her too quiet or too forgiving. Because now, everyone was realizing, maybe Rashida wasn't silent because she didn't care. Maybe she was silent because she was controlled. But Rashida wasn't just exposing the network. She was setting the stage for a comeback. She ended that live saying, "Y'all about to see the real Rashida? Not the edited version, not the TV character, the real me." And just like that, she flipped the whole narrative. Instead of being seen as the victim, she became the voice for every reality star who's been cut, cropped, and twisted by TV magic. But little did she know, the network was already planning their next move. And it wasn't going to be pretty. Because once you bite the hand that feeds you in the world of reality TV, they make sure you starve for attention. And what they did next to silence Rashida, woo, that's where the real war begins. Now here's where things take a dark turn. Because after Rashida's back-to-back lives and the wave of fan support that came with them, the network clapped back and they didn't come to play nice. Just days later, blogs started posting exclusive statements allegedly from Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta production sources. The headlines read, "Rashida violates contract with false claims. Producers say they never scripted her storyline. LHH Insider. Rashida is just trying to stay relevant." And that last one, that's the one that hit her hardest. Because Rashida has never been one to chase clout. She's built empires, Frost Bistro, Pressed Boutique, cosmetic lines, all without relying on scandal. But now, they were painting her as a desperate ex-star trying to start drama for clicks. In one of the supposed insider quotes, someone said, "Rashida knows how editing works. She's been on the show since the early seasons. She's upset because her story isn't interesting anymore. So she's trying to stir controversy." The audacity. Within hours, Rashida hopped back online. This time, she wasn't angry, she was disappointed. You could see it in her eyes. She said, "So now I'm lying. That's what we doing. I gave y'all years of my life. Y'all used my marriage, my pain, my family, and now because I tell my truth, I'm the problem." She even hinted that she'd received calls from higher-ups telling her to chill. They said, "Rashida, don't do this. You don't want to mess up your legacy." But my legacy ain't built on lies. My legacy is built on truth. And the fans, they went to war for her. Hashtags like hashtag Team RASHEEDA and hashtag Free the Footage started trending. People demanded that the network release unedited clips from key episodes. Some fans even started petitions calling for transparency in reality TV editing. But the real twist came when another cast member joined the chat, and not just anyone. It was Ariane Davis, one of the OGs from early Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta seasons. She went live and said, "Listen, I believe Rashida. We've been saying for years how they manipulate what we do. It's not new. They used to tell us, we need this scene to end in an argument, and if you didn't argue, they'd just edit it like you did." That confirmation, game changer. The fans started connecting the dots. Maybe Rashida's story was just one example of a bigger machine, a pattern of controlled chaos created by producers to keep viewers hooked. Meanwhile, Kirk stayed mostly quiet, but insiders say things between him and Rashida at home got tense. One source close to the couple told a gossip page, Kirk's worried. He keeps telling her to stop before it gets legal. He's scared they'll come for their businesses next. But Rashida wasn't backing down. In fact, she was doubling down. She started teasing that she's working on a documentary, not just about her experience, but about the truth behind reality TV. In one Instagram caption, she wrote, "Y'all about to see how the sausage gets made. No filters, no fake edits, just facts." And that's when all hell broke loose behind the scenes. A week after that post, sources say production cut her out of an upcoming Love and Hip Hop reunion special. They allegedly told her she was being sidelined for brand review, which, in plain English, meant punished. That's when she really let loose. On another livestream, this time from her boutique, Pressed ATL, Rashida said, "You mean to tell me I can give y'all over a decade of my life, and the minute I speak my truth, I'm out? That's how you treat your people?" She started getting emotional, saying she wasn't even mad for herself anymore. She was mad for the young women coming up next. They bring in new girls every season, promising fame, promising exposure, but what they really doing is trapping them in contracts that don't let them tell their real story. And fans felt that. You could hear the pain in her voice, the exhaustion, the years of loyalty that went unrewarded. But then came the twist that nobody saw coming. One of Rashida's friends, we'll call her T, allegedly leaked a private email chain between a producer and a PR team. In those emails, producers were strategizing how to control the Rashida narrative by planting negative stories about her on blogs. Let that sink in. They weren't just editing her on TV, they were allegedly manipulating the media to make her look bad off-screen too. The emails showed lines like, emphasize her emotional instability, and frame it as a midlife crisis for sympathy. Fans were livid. Comments were like, they really turned this woman's pain into a PR campaign. So we've been watching lies this whole time. This is emotional manipulation, not entertainment. Within hours, the network's Instagram comments were flooded with thousands of fans calling them out. People were demanding accountability. Some even started threatening boycotts. But Rashida, she didn't gloat. She just posted a single sentence on her story. Told y'all I wasn't crazy. And just when fans thought the drama couldn't get any deeper, another name entered the mix. A well-known former Love and Hip Hop producer, someone who'd worked on multiple franchises, agreed to sit down for an interview on a YouTube podcast. And what they revealed about Rashida's editing drama blew everything wide open. Because according to them, Rashida wasn't exaggerating. In fact, she didn't even tell half of what really went down behind the cameras. And wait until you hear what that producer said, because it's going to make you look at Love and Hip Hop in a completely different way. When that former producer finally sat down for the interview, the internet froze. Nobody expected someone from inside the Love and Hip Hop machine to actually speak, but they did, and they didn't hold back. The producer, who we'll call Marcus, said straight up that Rashida wasn't lying at all. In fact, he said, if anything, she's being polite about it. According to Marcus, most of Rashida's storylines were pieced together from fragments of real moments that were re-edited until they barely resembled reality. She'd come in for a casual conversation, he explained, and we'd chop it into something emotional. If she laughed, we'd edit the laugh out of context to make her seem cold. If she cried, we'd loop it to make it look like she broke down longer than she did. It was all about creating that moment. Fans were stunned. For years, they'd believed every tear, every shout, every awkward pause, but now, it all felt like a lie. Marcus went on to say that Rashida's calm personality actually made her a target. She didn't fight or throw drinks, and that's what producers want: chaos. So when she didn't give them that, they'd build it themselves. They'd take her quiet moments and make them look like silence, like weakness. He even admitted that Rashida's infamous cold reaction during Kirk's cheating scandal was edited from 2 completely different days of filming. She wasn't even reacting to that news, he said. She was reacting to something production told her. They played her like a puppet. After that interview aired, the whole fanbase flipped. Blogs ran wild with headlines like "Producer confirms Rashida's story was edited," and "The truth about Love and Hip Hop finally exposed." On social media, people started comparing scenes, pointing out strange camera angles, mismatched lighting, even background sounds that didn't match the moment, clear signs of splicing. It was like the veil had finally been lifted, and viewers were seeing the Frankenstein reality TV truly was. Meanwhile, Rashida reposted a few clips from the interview with one caption, "Thank you for speaking up. That small gesture said everything." But you already know the network wasn't about to let that go unchecked. Within 48 hours, legal teams started sending out cease and desist letters to gossip blogs and YouTubers who shared the clip. The interview got taken down from YouTube within a day, But by then it was too late. Screen recordings, re-uploads, and TikTok breakdowns had already spread it everywhere. The truth was out there, and fans were not letting it die. The comments on Love and Hip Hop's official Instagram were brutal. "We believed in you. And you fed us lies," one person wrote. Another said, "Rashida deserves an apology and her own show unedited." As pressure mounted, Rashida kept quiet, not out of fear, but out of strategy. She was building something behind the scenes. Insiders claimed she had started meeting with independent producers about developing her own docuseries called Reality vs. Reality TV. And here's the gag. She wasn't planning to do it alone. Word on the street was that several former cast members from different Love and Hip Hop cities had reached out, ready to share their own horror stories. It was shaping up to be a movement, not just a project. Fans started calling it the reality revolution. But of course, power doesn't shift without backlash. A leaked PR report allegedly from the network claimed Rashida was unstable, paranoid, and fueling false conspiracies. The timing was suspicious, and fans saw right through it. They're trying to smear her now because she's telling the truth. One Twitter user wrote, while another posted, "Gaslighting at its finest." Rashida ignored the noise, but people close to her say the whole ordeal was taking a toll. She'd lost brand deals, a few partnerships pulled out quietly, and one endorsement deal even paused communication after the controversy. Still, she stayed grounded. She told her fans on a live Q&A, "If I gotta lose some deals to keep my integrity, then so be it. I'm not playing their game no more." Then came the biggest twist yet, a voicemail leak. An anonymous account posted audio of what sounded like a Love and Hip Hop producer talking to another staff member about Rashida. In the clip, one voice said, "We can't let her make us look bad. If she doesn't shut up, we'll make her look crazy on screen next season." That one line, "make her look crazy," broke the internet. Within hours, hashtags like #ProtectRashEEDA and #ExposeRealityTV were trending across social media. Even celebrities outside the reality world started weighing in. Candy Burris tweeted, "Editing can make saints look like villains. I've been there." Tamar Braxton commented on a post saying, "This been happening for years. I'm glad somebody finally said it out loud." And while fans were uniting behind her, Rashida stayed calm, collected, almost eerily quiet. Until one night, she posted a simple black screen on Instagram with white letters that read, "They played me on TV, but they won't play me again." No caption, no hashtags, nothing. Just that. Within an hour, it had 100,000 likes and thousands of comments. It was the mic drop moment. The signal that she was done being a pawn. She was about to become the queen of her own story. Behind closed doors, insiders say the network was panicking. Executives allegedly called emergency meetings to contain the damage and manage the narrative. There were whispers of them trying to reach Rashida privately with a deal, hush money in the form of a new spin-off show, but with full creative control on their terms. She reportedly turned it down flat. "I already had a show," she told a friend. "Y'all just turned it into fiction." At this point, the battle lines were drawn. On one side stood Rashida and the growing chorus of fans demanding truth. On the other, a billion-dollar reality TV machine fighting to protect its illusion. The tension was thick, the stakes were high, and everyone was waiting to see who would make the next move. Because if Rashida released that documentary, and especially if other castmates joined her, the entire reality TV industry could crumble from the inside. And trust me, the tea that was about to spill next. It would make every fight, every scandal, and every fake tear we've ever seen on Love and Hip Hop look like child's play. The night before Rashida's documentary announcement, social media was buzzing like never before. Every blog, gossip page, and fan account was counting down, waiting for her next move. She had already hinted at a big reveal coming soon, but nobody could have predicted just how explosive it would be. The Frost Bistro's lights were dimmed early that night, reportedly so Rashida could set up filming for her tell-all. Kirk wasn't around, and rumors were swirling that the two weren't even living together anymore. Whether that was true or not, one thing was certain. Rashida was standing on her own this time. When midnight hit, she dropped the teaser. A 2-minute video titled, "They Played Me on TV. The Truth About Reality" hit YouTube. And within minutes, it had over 500,000 views. The video opened with Rashida sitting in her boutique. No makeup, no glam, just real emotion. The first words out of her mouth were, "This ain't about revenge. This about respect." And just like that, she took her power back. The teaser cut between raw behind-the-scenes clips, shaky phone videos from set, moments of Rashida walking off camera, arguing with producers, and crying in dressing rooms that fans had never seen before. One clip showed her whispering to a crew member, "Why are y'all making me say this again? I already told y'all I don't want to do this scene." Another showed her shaking her head as producers told her, "We need more emotion, Rashida, just give us something." The background music was haunting, slow piano chords, her voice narrating, "For years, they told me my story wasn't interesting unless I was in pain." The internet lost it. Fans flooded her comments with messages like, "This is the realest thing she's ever done," and "Rashida, finally speaking her truth, gives me chills." Some fans even cried, saying they felt guilty for judging her all these years without knowing what she was going through behind the scenes. The video hit 1 million views in less than a day. It was official, Rashida had turned her pain into power. But of course, not everyone was celebrating. Within hours of the video dropping, the network's legal team allegedly sent a formal They claimed she violated her non-disclosure agreement and used proprietary footage. Rashida's response: a calm Instagram post that read, "You can't own my truth." That one line broke the internet all over again. Meanwhile, whispers started spreading that the documentary wasn't just about Rashida. People close to production started leaking that she had interviews with multiple former cast members, some who hadn't spoken publicly in years. According to one insider, Rashida's project was going to expose everything: fake storylines, forced relationships, producer manipulation, and even pay disparities among cast. It wasn't just about editing anymore, it was about the entire system. Behind the scenes, producers were panicking. Meetings were being called, left and right. Allegedly, one producer was overheard saying, "If this thing drops, we're all finished." The fear was real, because this wasn't just one person complaining online. This was a respected, longtime cast member dismantling the machine from inside out. The pressure got so bad that Kirk finally broke his silence. He took to Instagram Live late one night, clearly frustrated. He said, "Y'all don't know what really goes on. They play all of us. They make you do what they want. But me and Rashida, we got through it. That's what y'all need to focus on." Fans weren't buying it. The comments section was ruthless. "Now you want to speak because the brand in trouble. And not Kirk. We needed this energy when they were dragging her on TV." But the biggest moment came a few days later, when Rashida appeared on The Breakfast Club. The interview was legendary. She looked calm, composed, and completely in control. When Charlemagne asked her why she was speaking now, Rashida said, "Because silence keeps the cycle going. They can't fix what they keep pretending isn't broken." She talked about how editing had affected not just her marriage, but her kids, her business, even her friendships with other castmates. "People stopped trusting me because of what they saw on TV. But it wasn't me, it was who they made me." By the time the interview ended, the internet was in full chaos mode. Other reality stars started jumping in from Love and Hip Hop, Hollywood, Miami, even Real Housewives alumni, all echoing the same thing: that editing had ruined reputations, friendships, even marriages. Rashida had sparked a revolution without even meaning to. As her documentary release date approached, rumors started flying that the network was trying to buy the rights, not to support it, but to bury it. Allegedly, they offered her a multi-million-dollar deal to shelve the project and restructure her contract. But Rashida refused. In a post that instantly went viral, she wrote, "They paid me to be quiet before, I'm not doing it again." That line alone cemented her status as a reality TV icon. The day the full documentary dropped, YouTube crashed for several minutes from the traffic. Millions tuned in. The film opened with a simple line across the screen: "Based on a true story, mine." For the next hour, viewers watched the unfiltered truth behind one of reality TV's biggest franchises. And by the end, there wasn't a dry eye or a single person who would ever look at Love and Hip Hop the same again. Rashida had done it. She had taken the same stage that once humiliated her and turned it into her platform for freedom. The fans crowned her the queen of real TV, and even her critics had to admit this was her redemption arc. But deep down, everyone knew this wasn't over. The network was bruised, but not broken. There were rumors of lawsuits, blacklists, and new NDAs being drawn up to silence the rest. Yet Rashida didn't flinch. She ended the documentary with a single quote that summed it all up perfectly: "They might have played me on TV, but I'm rewriting the script." And just like that, the woman who once sat quietly while the world judged her had become the voice of an entire generation of reality stars, proving that when the cameras stop rolling, the realest moments are the ones they never wanted us to see. In the days following the documentary's release, the entire entertainment industry was on fire. Blogs, podcasts, and even mainstream news outlets couldn't stop talking about Rasheeda's bold move. Headlines like Rashida versus reality TV, the battle that shook VH1, and she exposed it all. Rasheeda's untold truth breaks the internet dominated every feed. Fans were dissecting every frame, pausing scenes, analyzing body language, and connecting dots that the public had missed for years. Clips from the documentary flooded TikTok. Rasheeda's.com monologues became trending audios. People used her quotes as captions for their own videos, standing up to toxic jobs, fake friends, and bad relationships. One viral TikTok said, "If Rasheeda can walk away from $1 million show, I can walk away from my peace being disturbed." That clip alone had over 10 million views. Rasheeda had gone from being a reality TV cast member to a full-blown cultural movement. Meanwhile, the network tried damage control. They released a vague statement saying they were disappointed in the misinformation being spread and working to clarify the situation. But fans weren't buying it. Every time they posted something on social media, Rasheeda's supporters flooded the comments with hashtag We Stand with RASHEEDA and hashtag Unedited Queen. Even celebrities joined in. Tamar Braxton tweeted, "It's about time someone said it out loud. They edit for chaos and call it entertainment." Cardi B reposted one of Rasheeda's clips on her story with the caption, "She ain't lying." The pressure got so heavy that producers started speaking anonymously to blogs. One alleged producer told the Shade Room, "Rasheeda's not wrong. We've been doing this for years. The storylines are real, but how they're told, that's where the manipulation starts." Another insider hinted that several cast members had already started reaching out to lawyers to renegotiate or terminate their contracts. It was like Rasheeda's voice had broken open a door that everyone else was too scared to touch. Kirk, on the other hand, looked lost in the chaos. For once, the drama wasn't about him cheating or lying, it was about Rasheeda standing in her power. And he didn't quite know how to handle it. He tried to stay supportive online, posting a selfie with the caption, "Proud of her. Always have been, always will." But fans weren't having it. One user commented, "You had your chance to be proud when she was crying on TV. Now it's too late." Another said, "She don't need your validation anymore." The real twist came when former Love and Hip Hop cast members started publicly supporting Rasheeda. Jocelyn Hernandez went live on Instagram and said, "They've been doing that. They made me look crazy when I was just defending myself." Erica Mena reposted Rasheeda's documentary link with the caption, "Took courage. Took years. But she did what we all wanted to do." Even Carly Red Hood had a rollercoaster friendship with Rasheeda, posted a story that said, "We've all been through it. Salute sis." Fans started calling for a full-blown cast reunion, but not for the show, for the truth. They wanted all the women to come together, on Rasheeda's terms, and tell their real stories. A few gossip blogs hinted that Rasheeda was already in talks with Netflix and Amazon Prime to turn her documentary into a full docuseries, featuring other reality stars ready to break their silence. One blogger wrote, "This could be the end of Love and Hip Hop as we know it." By week 2, the documentary had surpassed 20 million views. It became one of the most watched independent uploads by a reality star in history. Fans couldn't get enough of the rawness, the honesty, the emotion. Rasheeda had gone from being edited into the strong wife who stays, to being celebrated as the woman who finally walked away. And what made it even more powerful, she never bashed anyone. She told her story with grace, no shouting, no mess, just truth. That calmness hit harder than any on-screen fight ever could. Viewers started seeing her not just as a cast member, but as a leader, someone who'd survived the chaos and found her voice through it. Even critics who once called her boring were now praising her for her composure and class. One fan tweeted, "They used to call her dull. Turns out, she was just too real for fake TV." Behind the scenes, sources claimed that Rasheeda was getting calls from producers who wanted her to host workshops for other reality stars about how to protect themselves legally and mentally from manipulative contracts. She was reportedly in early talks with a major streaming platform to produce a show that focused on real entrepreneurship, featuring women who actually ran their businesses without the drama. It was poetic. The woman who was once known for her husband's scandals had reinvented herself as the face of empowerment and authenticity. Her brand Pressed was selling out online, her music streams tripled, and her public image had never been stronger. Fans were begging for her to release a memoir, and from what insiders hinted, she was already writing it. But amid all this success, there were still whispers. Some claimed that certain people inside the industry were plotting to silence her again. Others said the network was threatening to sue. Yet Rasheeda remained unbothered. On Instagram Live, she smiled and said, "They can't silence what's already been said. The truth's out there now." I'm good. Her calm tone only made fans love her more. They started calling her unbothered Rashida, a queen who had seen it all, survived it all, and came out glowing. One comment summed it up perfectly. They made her the villain on TV, but life made her the hero. And as Rashida prepared for her next chapter, new business ventures, speaking engagements, and maybe even her own talk show, one thing became clear. This wasn't just her redemption story. This was her legacy. Because when the lights fade, the cameras stop, and the scripts end, what remains isn't the drama, it's the truth. And Rashida had finally told hers, in her own words, on her own terms. But just when everyone thought Rashida's journey had reached its peaceful new chapter, everything took another wild turn. Out of nowhere, leaked emails began circulating online. LHHATL, showing that producers from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta were planning to counterattack. These emails, which quickly went viral on gossip blogs, suggested that certain people behind the scenes were organizing a damage control campaign to discredit Rashida's claims. According to the leaks, they were allegedly planning to release unseen footage, outtakes, deleted confessionals, and behind-the-scenes clips, supposedly proving that Rashida had approved her edits. But here's where it got messy. Fans instantly called cap. The timing was too suspicious. Just when Rashida was gaining massive support and becoming the voice of authenticity, the show suddenly had receipts. Yeah, fans weren't buying it. Twitter exploded overnight. Hashtags like hashtag justice for Rasheeda, hashtag the real love and hip hop, and hashtag stop playing with Rasheeda started trending. People were calling out the network for being manipulative and petty. One fan tweeted, "They trying to gaslight the woman who literally just exposed the gaslighting industry. Make it make sense." Another said, "We don't care what clips y'all have. We saw the editing tricks with our own eyes for 10 years. And then, in a twist that nobody expected, one of the former Love and Hip Hop editors came forward anonymously in a Reddit AMA, Ask Me Anything. They claimed that Rashida was telling the truth. They said, "We were instructed to always keep Rashida's marriage storyline alive. No matter how much she moved on, if she didn't give us drama, we were told to find it somewhere else, even if it meant editing a scene to look shady." That one comment broke the internet. It was confirmation, straight from the inside. Suddenly, every fan theory Rashida had hinted at was now validated. The napkin scene, manipulated. The silent treatment clips, rearranged. The cold wife edits, crafted for ratings. Meanwhile, Rashida stayed classy. She didn't react, didn't rant, didn't post anything directly about the leaks. Instead, she uploaded a quiet video to Instagram. No words, just her in her boutique, working, smiling, humming a tune. The captions simply read, "When you know the truth, you don't argue with lies." That one line, pure mic drop. Within hours, it had over 1 million likes. Celebrities flooded her comments with hearts and clapping emojis. Tamer Braxton commented, "Queen energy." Candy Burris wrote, "They can't rewrite what's already written." But things escalated again when Kirk decided to do a surprise interview on a podcast, and it backfired badly. Trying to defend both himself and the show, Kirk said, "People gotta understand. It's entertainment. Sometimes you gotta give the people what they wanna see." That one sentence triggered an avalanche. Fans were livid. They accused him of dismissing Rashida's pain for ratings. Comments poured in saying, "So her humiliation was entertainment to you, and you're proving her point." The backlash was so intense that the podcast episode had to be taken down. Kirk went silent afterward, but the damage was already done. People started rewatching every old Rashida Kirk scene and picking apart the manipulation. One YouTuber uploaded a 2-hour analysis titled "Rashida Was Right All Along," breaking down the lies of Love and Hip Hop. It hit 3 million views in 24 hours. At this point, Rashida had unintentionally started a movement. Other reality stars began to step forward, not just from Love and Hip Hop, but from other shows too. Cast members from Basketball Wives, Growing Up Hip Hop, and even Real Housewives of Atlanta began hinting at similar experiences. One former cast member tweeted, "We all signed contracts thinking it was opportunity. Turns out, we were signing away our stories." The media dubbed it the reality TV revolt. And guess whose face was front and center of every headline? Rasheeda Frost, the woman who was once edited into silence, now leading an entire generation of reality stars toward truth and independence. But Rashida didn't just stop at words. She took action. Within months, she announced the launch of her new production company, Unfiltered Vision Media, dedicated to creating reality-based content without manipulation. She promised transparency, fair contracts, and full creative control for the cast. Her announcement video opened with her sitting in a chair, looking directly into the camera, saying, "This time, no scripts. No edits. Just real." That line became iconic. Fans flooded her comments, calling her the Oprah of the new generation of reality. Her company gained hundreds of thousands of followers overnight. Even people who never watched Love and Hip Hop were now tuning into her story. But of course, the original network wasn't going down quietly. Sources claimed they tried to block Rasheeda from using certain footage, even threatening legal action. But Rasheeda was ready. She had lawyers, she had receipts, and most importantly, she had the people. And here's the kicker. Whispers started spreading that the network was scrambling to re-edit old seasons of Love and Hip Hop before uploading them to streaming platforms. Some fans reported that certain episodes already looked different, with scenes mysteriously missing or trimmed down. One user posted side-by-side clips showing missing dialogue from a key argument scene. Fans said it looked like they were trying to erase evidence. That's when Rasheeda posted another quote to her story. "They can't erase what the world already saw. I told my truth, the rest is up to them." It was subtle, but everyone knew exactly what she meant. By now, Rasheeda wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. Her businesses were booming, her documentary had gone global, and she'd turned years of being played into her most powerful storyline yet, one she finally owned. And if there was any doubt left about who really had the last laugh, Rasheeda ended it all with one final announcement that sent shockwaves across the internet. She revealed she was developing a new reality show, but this time, she would be the executive producer. The title, The Real Edit. The concept, every episode would follow women from the entertainment industry reclaiming their narratives with raw, uncut footage and total creative control. The tagline said it all. No edits, no filters, just the truth. And fans lost their minds. The trailer alone got millions of views in hours. People commented, "This is what reality TV was supposed to be." Others said, "They played her on TV, and now she's playing the game better than anyone." Because in the end, Rasheeda didn't just open up about being played. She turned the entire system on its head, and reminded everyone watching that when you own your story, nobody can edit your truth again. And there you have it, y'all. Rasheeda Frost didn't just tell her story, she took it back. From being painted as the quiet, loyal wife on TV to becoming the woman who stood up and said, "You won't play me anymore. This is what real growth looks like." She turned pain into power, silence into a movement, and a storyline into a legacy. But the real question now is, what happens next? Will the networks fight back harder? Will other cast members finally come forward with their own truth? Or will Rasheeda's new show, The Real Edit, completely change the way we see reality TV forever? Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that when Rasheeda says she's done being edited, she means it. And honestly, whether you've been following her since season 1 or just tuned in recently, you have to respect the glow. From tears in the restaurant to boardrooms and business deals, she flipped the entire narrative and did it with class, grace, and a touch of that Rasheeda-level confidence that fans have always loved. Now, it's your turn to sound off, because we know you have opinions. Do you think Rasheeda was right to expose the industry like that? Or do you believe the producers had a point about entertainment value? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, we're reading every single one of them. And if you're still here rocking with us, don't forget to hit that like button. Because your support keeps stories like this coming. Subscribe for more deep dives, celebrity drama, and exclusive behind-the-scenes tea that mainstream blogs won't tell you. Trust me, we've got a lot more where this came from. Oh, and if you think this story couldn't get any wilder, wait until you hear who just got spotted meeting with Rasheeda's new production team. Yep, another Love and Hip Hop star might be jumping ship to join The Real Edit. So turn on your notifications, because when that tea drops, you're gonna want to be the first to sip it. Until then, stay pressed, stay tuned. And remember, in the world of reality TV, the truth always finds its way to the surface. This is your girl's favorite channel for all the messy, dramatic, and jaw-dropping celebrity stories that keep your timeline buzzing. Thanks for watching, thanks for vibing, and as always, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep sipping that tea, baby.